You're concealing a 45 ACP like this Springfield XDM, a deadly weapon. It takes a lot of obligation to do what's right. You're concealing an extra large espada, an extremely deadly blade. It takes a lot of obligations on your part to conceal it and do what's proper and do what's lawful and to think about things. You've got a flashlight that's deadly. It's a weapon. The law can construe it as a weapon. Welcome to part 2 of concealed carry obligations. I'm asking everybody to throw in your input. A lot of the topics I got for this video came from the input from part 1. If you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. I think all of us as a whole did a good job. I think I like the video that I put out there, and I especially like the input that everyone put into it, because we all learn from each other. We're all in this together. You Leos out there, please throw in your input. We want to hear from experts. Let's go to part 2 of concealed carry obligations. Please subscribe, please tell a friend. Welcome to weaponseducation.com. Can you think of anything more serious than carrying a deadly weapon? I mean, really, think about it. You're carrying a deadly weapon. Legally, of course, but it takes a lot of obligation on your part to learn to do the right thing in all these different scenarios we're about to speak about. I am not an expert. I'm just giving you life advice. This is not legal advice. I'm giving you common sense advice on my part from carrying for the last 25, 30 years every day. We're going to get right into it now. I have 15 topics. I don't like my videos to be too long, so let's get right into it, okay? Common sense number 1, training. Now you got your permit, you can carry a firearm, you have all your different systems down pat, you have a shoulder holster, you have a paddle holster inside the waistband, in your pocket, ankle, whatever system you have. Great. Now, training is extremely important. And I mean a professional trainer that can you give yourself 1 hour every 90 days with a pro to go to the range and pay him whatever his fee is for the hour, maybe 35 bucks an hour, every quarter, okay? And besides professional training yourself, you need to go to the range regularly to stay acclimated with the different firearms that you might be carrying. Okay, and I'm going to move through all these different topics here. Training is huge. As a matter of fact, I used to play billiards a lot, shoot pool a lot, from like age 20 to 40. Now I'm 48. I went and shot pool a couple of days ago. I thought I was pretty good, which I used to be. I was terrible. I lost. I couldn't play 8-ball like I used to. It was okay, but because I haven't been practicing. You got to keep practicing. We're talking about deadly weapons now. We're not talking about shooting pool or billiards. We're talking about, okay? Now, training. Enough said on training. I like some of the comments that came from the first video, part 1. One gentleman wrote, walk softly and carry a big stick. What I mentioned in the first video was low profile. Do not be a Rambo type person. Do not get into altercations. I like, as you know, to carry a lot of firearms. Maybe 2 and a blade and a flashlight, whatever. I'm a little overboard, but what I'm saying is walk softly. We're going to talk some more about that. Now I'm just going to keep moving through these topics. When to engage? That question came up in the first video. When should I engage? Now, of course, every crime is different, so it's impossible for me to answer that question. I'll give you a little bit of advice right now on what I think and what I do when I'm out and about, and if, heaven forbid, something bad were to happen. Number 1 is you want to evaluate the situation. Let's just hypothetically say You're at a gas station and you're getting gas, and all of a sudden you hear gunshots. Boom, 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 pop, 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 pop. Well, what do? Do you just pull out your gun and... No. What I would do, this is what I would do. First thing I would do is get down low, so I'm not a target, prone position. That's just me. And then I would really try to evaluate the situation, move myself to a safe position behind a pillar, behind the engine block of the car, and then learn, is law enforcement here yet? Yes or no? Oh, I can see they're not here yet. Oh, I see people are getting shot. Now, in that case, what I would personally do is I would engage. I would go in and try to save lives. You might differ. That's fine. But I tell you, we're all equal on this earth. And if my family's in that convenience store, I would like some other person who's carrying a gun to hopefully save their life. So the answer is when to engage. Hopefully you don't have to. Let law enforcement do their job. You really have to be smart when you're carrying your firearm, and we're going to talk about that some more here as the video goes on. I mean, you really got to be intelligent. You really have to think all these different scenarios out in your mind prior to, heaven forbid, them ever happening. And I do this, and I've been doing it my whole life. So the answer is, should you engage? It's a judgment call that you have to make. Are you ready to take a life? Are you ready to face the legal ramifications if you do? If it's black and white and it's just cut and dry, or someone's out there in the convenience store shooting people, me personally, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try to, if law enforcement's not there yet, I'm going to try to save lives. I'll put my life at risk to try to save lives, and I would hope someone else would do that to protect me. That's what a good gun owner, a good person who's concealing a legally permitted firearm would do. Okay, now here's another question that came up in the first video. If you engage, should you shoot to kill? If you make the decision to engage, yeah. Here. I'm not going to shoot at their arm or their kneecaps. I'm not here to just go, trying to scare you or nothing. If you have to go to that edge and jump off it and pull that trigger, then that means you went through all the different levels of thinking to the point where you have to go, like I said in video 1, from 10 to 1, and you have to come up with your own levels. Now it's level 1, and I have to pull the trigger. Well, of course, you would shoot to kill. And you want to make sure that it's the right decision. You really have to think and be level-headed. Let's move on. You got to be prepared to take a life, by the way. And it's not an easy thing to do. If you're not prepared to take a life, you may not want to carry a deadly weapon. Just think about that. I'm prepared if other people's lives are in danger, my family's life is in danger, and my life is in danger, and I'm 1,000% sure that the right thing to do is to use deadly force to protect the people I just spoke about. But I also think that in a lot of situations, you can scram, you can get out of the way and leave, and it's probably going to diffuse itself. That's the best case scenario. You never want to have to pull your gun. Let law enforcement do their job. I mentioned that. Let's talk about this one here. I like this one here. Should you pull your gun because, let's say, some thugs are coming at you, and one of them's got a baseball bat and they're 20 feet away, and this guy's got this baseball bat, he's acting like he's gonna hurt you. This other thug's yelling and screaming at you, and you got a gang of 4 guys. Should you pull your gun and threaten them? Oh, no. Not my opinion. Let's talk about one thing here. First of all, that's just the no-no. It's just, you don't pull your gun unless you plan on killing someone. Let's be real. and shooting them here and here. You don't pull your gun to intimidate someone. No Rambos here. But what about this? And you know how many people are in jail for life right now because they pulled their gun to intimidate someone who was actually, or a gang, who were the bad guys, and they intimidated the good guy, and the good guy pulled his gun and just tried to scare them off, and oops, accidental discharge. Happens a lot. It happens so much more often than you realize. Let's talk about accidental discharge. You pull your gun, you're trying to intimidate someone, a 1911, how light is that trigger? I've got some 1911s that the gun goes off. Oh my gosh. You put trigger jobs on these guns, you have a revolver, you pull that hammer back, you're in single action. Oops, I just meant to scare you. Accidental discharges are real. You don't pull your gun unless you plan on pulling that trigger, in my opinion. Restaurants, let's talk about this now. When you go to a restaurant, you need to know your local laws, of course. That's obvious. What I do is, I know the laws in Florida. You can't go to a bar and sit at a bar concealing a firearm, but you can sit in the restaurant area. So if I'm sitting in the restaurant area legally, like I do all the time, I want to sit in a location where I know where the exits are. I'm telling you, I walk in, not as a nervous Nelly like I said in the first video, but I know my surroundings, not only human beings, but exit routes and entrances of bad guys that might come in with hooded masks and just, who knows, what's going to happen. Three guys might walk in with AK-47s. So I like to position myself in a restaurant where I can see that front door and people walking in. And I want to know where the emergency exits are also. All right, let's talk about this. Let's say you're sitting at a restaurant. I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit because a buddy of mine is an undercover cop. I have a lot of friends who are law enforcement. I come from a family of law enforcement. And this one particular friend of mine is an undercover cop. He watches my channel. We had dinner last week, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, this guy was so stupid." This is what he was telling me. He goes, "I was at a restaurant, and I befriended a guy. His job is to get into people's heads and see if they're bad guys or not. So if someone looks unscrupulous, or if he can tell they're carrying, he's going to become friends with them." And the person that he became friends with on purpose actually says, "Hey Joe, look at my shoulder holster. I got a Glock 30." And that was it. Now, what does the cop do? He, when the guy goes to the bathroom, he gets on his cell phone and he calls outside to a uniformed officer. Okay, when this guy leaves, he just had 3 beers. You pull him over, you check him out. Or what if you're just at a restaurant and you befriend someone, you can become friends with any guy, and he's not a cop, and you start talking about things and say, "I'm into guns," and he says, "Oh, I'm into guns too." Do you say, "Oh man, look at my Glock 30 on my shoulder holster"? The point is, shut your mouth. Don't talk about it. It's a private thing. Don't ever let no one know you're carrying. Which leads me into the next point. I'm jumping around here. A lot of people ask, should I open carry if my state allows me to open carry? All right? I say no. I say be under the radar. I want open carry for all states, of course. I'm an activist for gun rights. But if I'm in a state, I think Arizona allows you to open carry, I'm gonna hide my weapon as much as possible. I'm not gonna print, and it's a private thing. I'm not gonna tell anybody. And I'm a professional, and I have to really think level-headed all the time when I have a deadly weapon on me. I mean, it's a serious, serious issue. Don't open your mouth. Don't tell anyone that you're carrying. And if you have the ability to open carry, my advice, me personally, what I would do is not open carry. I would just bury my gun or guns or knives and flashlights as hidden as possible, and it's a private thing. I want to be under the radar. First of all, if a bad guy walks in with an AK and a ski mask, who's the first person he's going to start shooting at? The guy with a gun showing on his hip. You don't want to be a target. All right, let's talk about your car, okay? Because when we're carrying, we have to drive. You know, let's be realistic. Every time you get up with your day and you go into life, you have to get into your car or someone else's car. Keep your car legal. I mean, your registration, make sure all your headlights are working. This is just, as silly as this sounds, I get so much feedback from people who are getting into trouble for silly reasons. They're getting pulled over for silly reasons. If you have enough responsibility to get your permit and do the things we're speaking about in this video and have the obligation and the responsibility to do things right, well then you should also have the responsibility to keep your car up to date on everything. Okay, that's enough said on that. Registration, headlights, things like that. Now what about the way you drive when you're concealed? Whether you're a passenger, you tell that driver, I want no speeding, I want, no breaking traffic violations, don't run that orange light. Okay, I don't want to hear it was orange. You don't need to get pulled over when you got your gun on you. Which brings me to the next thing. What do you do if a law enforcement officer pulls you over for whatever reason? I don't know, you made a right on red and you shouldn't have, I don't know, whatever. You get pulled over, something silly. Now this is an area where a lot of people differ on what to do. The one thing that I will say that I do out of respect, because my dad's a law enforcement officer, my uncle was killed in the line of duty, blah, blah, blah. I come from a family of law enforcement officers, and I have a lot of respect for the Leos. And I know that they just want to go home to their family. And their job is to enforce the law. So when they're walking up to your car, let's just say instance one, only one cop is walking up to the driver's side of your car. You're pulled over for a silly violation, whatever it is, speeding or something, whatever it is. You're carrying, you got a Glock 30 on your shoulder holster. What do? What I do is I hit the buttons, because my windows are tinted, by the way, and especially if your windows are tinted, zip, I pull them down so he can see there's no one in my back seat with a shotgun pointed at him. I'm sitting here good, and I hold my hands up, maybe on the steering wheel, and I don't want to be like I'm, some dork or something, but I just want to act calm and relax and let the law enforcement officer know that I respect him so he can see in my vehicle. That's number one. This is just me. Now number two, depending on how the traffic stop goes, when you hand him your driver's license, it's a pretty good idea to also hand him your permit also. Depending on how the traffic stop goes. If it's just like, hey sir, you went over the yellow line and got back on the, I just want to make sure you're okay. Oh yeah, I'm okay, officer. Okay sir, move on. Okay, that's different. You just go on your way. You don't have to get into too much back and forth with the law enforcement officer. But if it's a serious situation or kind of serious, be a pro. Roll your windows, always roll your windows down. Let them see the coast is clear in the car, no bad guys. Hand them your permit and your driver's license at the same time. And go from there. Be extremely respectful. Never say, I have a gun in the car before you give him your permit, because what if there's another guy coming on the right side, which, by the way, if there's two law enforcement officers walking up to your vehicle, roll all the windows down. Let them all know. Let them know everything's clear. But what if there's a rookie walking up and he hears the word gun? You got a gun in your face. Just be quiet. Be respectful. Show them your permit, things like that. We'll talk more about that in the future. Consistency is important. To carry on a regular basis is important because it goes hand in hand with training. The more you carry, the more you think about all the things we're speaking about. The more you think about of your surroundings, the more you think about of exit routes and thinking of if you hear gunshots and what to do. And it's a huge responsibility what we have here, and we want to keep it. We know the anti-gun people would love to have someone do something stupid and then let it hit the news. Pay attention to your surroundings, like I always say, and stay out of trouble. As simple as that sounds, it's not as simple as people might think, staying out of trouble in today's world. I mean, we got the video cameras at every intersection here in Florida now. If you run a red light, there's a pretty good chance, 100 yards down the way, someone's going to pull you over. If you go through one of these SunPass booths, a toll booth, and you don't pay the 75 cents, you're going to get pulled over. Stay out of trouble. Just be clean with everything you do. Oh, and by the way, if you like to indulge a little bit and drink a beer here or there, do not carry a gun. I'm not even going there. Do not carry a gun. All right, please throw in your inputs. I think I covered a lot here in a short period. I do not want my videos to go on and on and on. I'm really looking forward to your input. Thank you so much. I care about everybody. Please tell a friend.